Hey everyone, welcome to Sideshow's First Look. Today we'll be taking a look at the Mandalorian Grogu Deluxe version 6-scale figure collectible set by Hot Toys from The Mandalorian. The box is a standard shoebox design. The front features a super dark gray frame with an angular window opening into a black field. Coming out of that blackness is an image of the Mandalorian, his belongings hanging from a swoop bike strut, and with the child Grogu peeking out from a satchel slung over his shoulder. The chrome Star Wars logo sits in its customary position in the lower third, and below that is the expected Hot Toys cigar band in tones of gold and umber indicative of the company's line of Mandalorian Season 2 collectibles. The box uses that cigar band to provide a couple of extra photos of the figure. The first with him in a casual gunslinger posture, and the second featuring the unmasked portrait of Din Djarin holding the helmet under his arm. Lifting off the top of the box reveals a fourth image of the figure, posed much like the dominant cover image, only this time featuring the figure from head to toe striding across the deserts of Tatooine. Removing that insert reveals a pair of plastic clamshells containing the figures and all of the included accessories. There's the Mandalorian in the left tray, flanked by so much cool stuff, including the alternate unhelmeted portrait, the figure of Grogu, the darksaber, the phase pulse rifle, the beskar spear, and a satchel for holding Grogu. Just below the Mandalorian's legs, you can spy a desert-themed display base with a standard pelvic support stand. Additionally, in this tiny tray, we see a pair of weapon effects, the Rising Phoenix jetpack, a grappling hook with wire, a thermal detonator, the vibro blade, the hand blaster, the swap-out exposed whistling birds, a swap-out emitter for the darksaber, a swap-out helmet-mounted flashlight, a detonator device, a mount for the beskar spear, and the assortment of swap-out hands. In the second clamshell, you'll find those accessories included with the deluxe version of the figure. They include the helmet and jetpack of Boba Fett, a pair of bags, a set of straps, and the broken swoop bike strut. Pulling the figures and accessories out of the box will leave you in awe of the wealth of opportunity presented to you by this set. There's the Mandalorian in the center, standing on his base, and flanked by the swap-out unhelmeted portrait and the Rising Phoenix. To the right, you see the Grogu figure, the satchel for holding Grogu, the flamethrower effect, the firing whistling birds effect with the swap-out armed whistling bird accessory, the flashlight for the helmet, the detonator device, the thermal detonator, the hand blaster, and the vibro blade. Arrayed in front of the Mandalorian figure, you'll see the longer accessories, including the swoop bike handlebar strut, the phase pulse rifle, the beskar spear with its mount, the darksaber with its swap-out unlit emitter, and the grappling hook. To the left is the pair of bags, their straps, the assortment of swap-out hands, including a pair of trigger hands, a pair of spear-wielding hands, and a pair of fists, and the helmet and jetpack of Boba Fett. Now let's take a closer look at the set. The Mandalorian figure sets a new bar for the character. All of the armored elements, from helmet to cuisses, are decoed in a gorgeous muted chrome that has been strategically weathered in key areas. The cape is fabric and flows nicely, providing excellent pleats and waves that can be locked in with the enclosed wires, providing a dynamic effect. Both that cape and the full fabric undersuit come in a warmish gray, which nicely complements the brown vegan leather of the belt, bandolier, and holster. The tassets are cast in a similar gray tone to that on the fabric. And the boots and all of their intricate parts are also molded in plastic, painted to nicely resemble brown leather. This small piece on the helmet's right side can be removed. With that free, you can then install the included flashlight accessory like so. There's an attachment on the bandolier here for the strap on the phase pulse rifle, as well as an open-ended loop for the barrel at the back of the belt. After attaching the strap to the bandolier, you'll want to feed that loop at the back through this hole in the cape. With that done, you can then wrap the loop around the barrel, closing it using the magnets at the tips of the loop. The included thermal detonator can be attached to the belt here next to these other detonators. Those detonators are not removable. Just below these two phase pulse rifle rounds on the belt, you'll find a hidden hook. From that hook, you can hang the included detonator. The launcher tip for the whistling birds is removable. Taking it off the van brace will allow for the attachment of either the armed whistling birds accessory or the full-on firing whistling birds effect. The flamethrower effect can be added to the figure by way of this split in the blue area of the flame. Simply remove the hand from the wrist, insert the edge of the van brace into that split, then replace the hand and your Mando can fire away. Attaching all of Mando's baggage to the swoop bike steering strut is a simple process. Start by attaching the Rising Phoenix to the large bag. That bag and each of the other components comes complete with an attached loop. Simply pull each loop along the shaft of the strut in this configuration and you're good to go. And finally, moving the cape out of the way will allow you to attach the Rising Phoenix to the back via the hidden magnets there. Now let's take a look at the articulation. The helmeted head rests on a double ball jointed neck and can shift from side to side, front to back, and any point in between. The helmet can also look down just under 45 degrees and look up about the same amount. And it can tilt to a similar degree from side to side. It can also rotate as much as you'd like, even a full 360 degrees. The shoulders will shrug, dip, press, and row. And they will also allow the arms to hit about 60 degrees of lateral lift. The ratcheted joints will allow the arms to achieve slightly more than 90 degrees of anterior lift, and slightly less than 90 degrees of posterior lift. The double jointed elbows will achieve about 120 degrees of bicep flex, and the customary pivot joint above the bicep area will allow the arm to rotate there. The torso will hit about 20 degrees of crunch, with a similar amount of extension. There's also about 20 degrees of lateral crunch to be had. And the torso will twist about 45 degrees in either direction. The legs will achieve just shy of 90 degrees of lateral lift. They'll also hit about the same degree of anterior lift, with about 15 degrees of posterior lift. The double ratcheted joints at the knees will give you about 120 degrees of hamstring flex. And the break at the thigh will allow the leg to rotate along that axis. The boots are attached by a double ball joint and will rotate freely. They'll also be able to extend, flex, pronate, and supinate to a comfortable degree. Finally, let's take a closer look at the included accessories. The portrait is sculpted and painted in the likeness of Pedro Pascal in the role of Din Djarin. The hair is nicely disheveled, providing the impression that he's, well, been wearing that helmet for a while. The Grogu figure features an expression of equal parts curiosity and concern and rests on a single ball joint, which is the figure's only point of articulation. The costume is sculpted in plastic with very fine details in the fabric. The Mandalorian figure comes fully equipped with many weapons, including a beskar spear, a phase pulse rifle, the darksaber, a blaster pistol, a vibro blade, and a thermal detonator. The inclusion of the grappling hook, a flamethrower effect, and a whistling bird effect round out the arsenal. Other included accessories are the pouch for holding Grogu, the Rising Phoenix jetpack, the swap-out whistling birds in their deployed configuration, the swap-out flashlight for the helmet, the unlit darksaber emitter, the detonator device, and the clamp for the beskar spear. Here's a closer look at the swap-out hands, including a pair of trigger hands, a pair of spear-wielding hands, and a pair of fists. The included base is the standard desert-themed base by Hot Toys. It comes with a support strut and an inner thigh grip. And finally, here are the accessories that are exclusive to this deluxe version of the Mandalorian and Grogu set, which include everything you need for the post-swoop bike crash trek across the desert. Right there is the broken strut from the swoop bike, fully sculpted in plastic. From that strut you can hang these two bags, the Boba Fett helmet, and the Boba Fett jetpack. Additionally, this strap can be used to mount the whole kit and caboodle onto the swoop bike, which is sold separately. This has been Sideshow's first look at the Mandalorian and Grogu Deluxe version 6-scale collectible set by Hot Toys from The Mandalorian. Be sure to watch Unsealed and Revealed, Strike a Pose, and How to Be a Poser for even more posable figure action from Sideshow. If you'd like more information about this figure, follow the link below. And, as always, don't forget to let your geek side show.